During a high school class project, my teacher told me it's unrealistic being a CEO. It's been my dream to be a CEO since I was 10. So I told her, it is realistic. Follow me on my journey to learn what it takes to become a CEO. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Realistic CEO podcast. Today I'm here with John Doleva. So how are you doing today, John?
I'm doing great, Mikey. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for being able to come on today. Take the time out of your day to allow me to interview. So thank you.
Yeah, very inspiring.
So the first question I'm going to ask you is, can you tell me a little bit about your journey of becoming the CEO of the Basketball Hall of Fame?
Yeah, that was about as far away as I ever would have thought when I was a kid that I ended up here doing that. And I guess one of the things as I thought about speaking to you is that I didn't really have being a CEO as a target for me. It just kind of happened. And that's the way sometimes life is, right? You work hard, you do the right things, you get promoted, people notice. All the things that you said in the book, you know, it's kind of all those things jumbled together, and you get into a couple different companies or career paths, and people start to recognize that you have a skill set that is special. And I was one of those lucky people that was able to be noticed, if you will, not because I put my hand up and said, hey, look at me. It's how I performed. And I think it's, you know, it's so very important that people understand some of the key elements about when you get into a job, how can you be noticed? How can you excel and be noticed enough to get promoted? And hard work is part of that, and being smart and always kind of anticipating some things in your business and learning more about your business than just your own responsibility. I think all those things together create an opportunity for someone to move up in an organization.
I've noticed, so when we first came in and we were walking to your office, and then I seen that when we came to talk to you and we came actually to the museum, I seen you were greeting everybody and they were like happy to see you. So like as a leader, like how are you able to make sure that the people around you feel welcome?
Well, you know, I kind of have as one of the mantras that I live by is every business is hospitality based, right? So a hotel, certainly, a restaurant, certainly, but a Hall of Fame, yeah, we're hospitality. People, we just met some people from Canada that were here. They were in Boston, they're going to New York, but thankfully, they stopped here in Springfield to see the Hall of Fame. We want to make sure that someone like that from Canada or someone from down the street in Springfield or from wherever around the world feels a level of hospitality at the Basketball Hall of Fame, feels welcome, feels wanted. Our people are respectful to them. They interact and you know, give them a tour and answer any questions they might have. Make it a very special experience. But any business is about hospitality because you're dealing with people. If you're in the insurance business, if you're in the education business, if you're in the lemonade business, you're dealing with people. You have customers, and you've got to think not so much, I'm in this business, and just think about that. Think about having a hospitable attitude. What makes your lemonade stand better than the next one is the fact that you have better customer service. You have great lemonade, but you have better customer service, more interactive input between people, and people walk away feeling not only good about the lemonade they just bought, but good about the interaction they had with you.
What are some ways to be able to develop better skills so that people can feel more welcome when you're interacting with them?
Yeah, so I thought about that, and you know, I think about my own career. I think one of the keys, and this is, CEOs may agree or disagree, but I think a job in retail offers a real opportunity for young people. So if you're in high school, I would encourage people to get a job in retail, which forces them to work with people and learn hospitality. Certainly customer service skills, and you know, you go into a clothing store and you got to put the clothes back and put it in the right size and ring up the register and stuff. And that's the basic stuff. You can learn and you can stretch yourself to be a better customer service rep, to be more hospitable. Use that as a foundation to develop confidence in communicating with people. So when I was a kid, I'm 16 years old, I worked at a drugstore. And then when I was in college, I worked in one of the first CVS stores that was in Western Massachusetts. And I learned more and more skills, kind of the basics at the local drugstore. And then I started to learn the business side of retail, even being a CVS employee, because I was promoted a couple of times. I was still in college, so I wasn't a manager, but I was getting up enough to understand the business and what's going on there. So it gave me a real foundation for what business was all about, what dealing with people was all about. Managing employees. I was managing employees, 6 or 7 employees at age 21 while being a college student. All those things helped me be a better manager later on in my career.
So you said being in high school, being able to work in retail is very important to build customer service and people skills.
Yep.
So how were you able to take advantage of all the little opportunities that you have in your life to be able to get to where you are today?
Yeah, I think it really, it's that. It's having those skills and being confident. But it's also, as I said a little bit earlier, as you're in an organization, you certainly want to perform at the highest level. Also, I think you want to anticipate what's next. You want to anticipate questions from your boss. And also, I think one of the big things for young people that I say is you got to be ready to fill vacuums. And what that means is you've got a coworker next to you that has a job, and the two of you are working together, and you're operating at 100%, and they're operating at 80%, 75%. And you're like, man, that person isn't doing the job. This is driving me crazy. Your boss expects the job to be done by the two of you. You should step up. And I'll tell you what, every time that I did that in my career, that I might have done more than my job description, this is when I'm very young, done more than my job description, or actually did somebody else's job to make sure that the work was done before we went home at night, someone always notices. A boss or a manager always notices that. It may not be the first day, it may not be the second day, but you're going to get noticed. And that's what helps differentiate you from the next person. And that leads to recognition and promotions and other things that are good for your career. And what it also does is it ingrains in you that ability, that desire to say, I'm going to do the job. I'm going to get this job done. And whether I have all the help I need or whether I do more than I'm expected to do, I'm going to get that job done. That, to me, is the first step to reaching a CEO level. You got to have that attitude throughout your whole career.
So what are some ways as a young person to be able to develop that mindset? Because you had it at a young age. So
well, yeah, and I think it's in all of us, right? It's just a matter of making a decision to do that, rather than saying, "Woe is me, I have to go to work, at noon, and I got to work until 8 o'clock." And so turn that around. Say to yourself, I have an opportunity to work. I have an opportunity to go there today and learn. I might be 18 or 19 years old. You're not going to be doing that for the rest of your life. Look at it as a college course in hospitality and business and interacting and understanding the business, inventory and pricing and all that kind of stuff. Use it every day as a learning tool and have that attitude that it is helping you get to the next level, rather than, oh my God, I got to be here 8 hours and I just get a paycheck on Friday and I hate this. Well, if you hate it, go find something where you can actually immerse yourself into a learning situation that helps you position yourself for the future. Otherwise, you're wasting your time.
So you said that if you're working at a job that you might not really enjoy, to be able to go find somewhere where you can learn. How are you able to go find a job or find somebody that can mentor you so you can learn those skills without saying, oh man, I hate doing this?
Yeah, so that is difficult, right? So it might be trial and error. You might have to go to 2 or 3 or 4 different places, but probably the best place to find a job like that is reach out to people that you know and let them know that maybe you're in a current job, but you're looking for a different position, and you're looking for a position where that is going to allow you opportunity. You're not going to grow right away. You're not going to get 7 promotions in the first year. What you want to say as you kind of put out your interest level to your friends and family to say, I'd like to have a job. I'd like to find a job where I can not only do what I'm expected to do, but learn about that business. I want to, like I said, I want this to be like a college level course in how to do business. I want to use that manager, that company, as a mentorship to show me a broad look at how business is done. And you're going to get to see, rather than just sitting at a cash register or serving up coffee, you're literally being able to look at the whole business and understand, how does it all work together? You know, how are products made? How are they produced? What's our customer satisfaction? How happy are people? Who's concerned about that? You know, thinking about the whole business. It might not be in your job description, but you can pay attention. Even if you're there making coffee, you can take a look at customer satisfaction. Like I said, filling vacuums. I mean, if you're working at a coffee shop and tables are dirty and there's trash on the floor and no one's doing anything, what are you going to do? You got a few extra minutes. You put on a pair of gloves and you clean up a little bit. And like I said, that's pride in where you work. But also, you're going to have a manager or someone there that's going to notice, what did he just do without me asking? So that's the kind of thing that I guess I'm trying to say. It's not necessarily a job that's out there that mentors. You got to grow into that level and that mindset of saying, I want to go beyond the basic job for myself, never mind promotions and pay increases and stuff. I'm going to use this as a ladder step to go to that next level.
So who are some of your mentors growing up, and how are they able to help you become who you are today?
Yeah, gosh, I go back to when I was 16, a pharmacist at, I grew up in Amherst, just up the road, and there was a pharmacist that I just loved him. And he taught me about the business of, I almost went to pharmacy school, but the chemistry was too tough. But he taught me about the business of pharmacy, of being in a drugstore. He also taught me that business isn't that serious. And we had some pretty good laughs together. And it kind of took the pressure off of when things got tough. So I understood early on a lot of aspects of the business side of things. And it could be applied to any business, happened to be a drugstore. And also that you don't take yourself so serious. Have some fun with it, right? Have some fun with your job and your role. And also, it taught me that I have the ability to make a relationship with people that are above me, right? Some people just are afraid of their manager. They don't interact. They just do what they're told. Have a conversation, you know? Learn about that person. Learn about where they came from. And ask them for advice beyond what I'm here for my 4-hour shift. What do you want me to do? Ask for a little bit more advice from them. Get to know them a little bit, and they'll share more with you. Other mentors, my second job out of college was at a graphic arts company. Computer graphics have wiped that business out, but a great guy that ran customer service there. He knew everything about the business, and I've kind of followed him around and learned about this manufacturing business. And I think that's another thing. You really can't see it these days because manufacturing has all gone offshore. But if you ever have the chance to work in a place where there is a factory where people make things, go there and watch things being made, how people with materials, raw materials, make things. I mean, it's just unbelievable to be able to work in a company as I did, where you were able to, and I was a marketing guy at the time, able to make a difference and improve the products by listening to the people that make them. Very often, marketing people are in the office area making decisions based on God knows what, and there are people on the floor making product every day and going, you know what you should do? Because we've had a manufacturing problem. You should do this and this. And as the marketing guy responsible for that product, I said, yeah, you're right. And so I went back upstairs and told the senior managers about that. And they're like, I don't know, I don't think. And then we did it. And guess what? The problems went away. You know, you got to listen to people that are on, you know, making the product. And that's, again, in a manufacturing environment, which is very difficult. But it really struck me. Then I go on to Spalding Sporting Goods, the basketball company, and came at a low level and worked my way up. I was there for 13 years, and I had a boss that was really, really mean. I mean, he was just that old style. You probably don't see it today, but yelling and screaming and swearing, and in a way, it was his way of motivating you. And a lot of people didn't like that. They left, or they just turned their back. I used it as, you know, kind of what that boss did to me based on how he treated employees. What he taught me was, you've always got to be prepared. And when I said anticipate, one of the things I said, when he would ask me a question, I learned this over time. When he asked me a question, I would have 3 answers to the question based on how the conversation was going or what different kind of nuances he asked me about. So I was always prepared. I was responsible for reporting the weekly and monthly numbers, the sales numbers that we had, and sometimes we didn't meet the goal, and that would just be like a volcano; it would all blow up. But I had other information. I was always prepared with other information to say, well, we're having a tough month this month. Next month is better, or this new product is coming out. So I was not just thinking about the moment. I was thinking a little bit down the line a little bit, and I give that individual a lot of credit, even though I hated it. I hated being yelled at, and I don't think it happens today in that nature. But he let me know that he had high expectations for me, right? And when people have high expectations, you perform, I think, a little bit better, right? If somebody just is rolling with the flow and you're working there, you roll with the flow. If somebody has higher expectations for you, you may respond. I hope you respond, and if you do, you'll be rewarded. I guarantee it.
So you said that with all your different bosses, each one of them had a different style, but yet you're able to learn from each one of them.
Yeah.
So like, how is being able to be adaptable important?
I think, it's kind of building the engine, if you will. I got a part over here, I got a part over here, I got a part over here, and when you put it all together, you've got this high-performing motor because you have listened to everyone. You've taken a piece of it. And put it all together. And to me, it just naturally made sense as I went along, and it gave me, as I say, more confidence, more business skills, more communication skills. I just felt like I was being supported, while at the same time getting pressure to perform, but I felt like I was being supported. And that support came from the fact that I was doing what I said, like anticipating questions, filling vacuums, being an employee that kind of had a sense of, kind of a gut sense of what was right in marketing, right? You do a lot of research, everybody comes in with an idea, but you kind of, once you learn your product, you've got a little bit of a gut feel on what's right and what's wrong. So I was fortunate to have a good gut feel, but all that input and from other, from my bosses and mentors along the way helped me build that high-performing engine. And how did I get to the Hall of Fame? I mean, I'm 5'9", and I'm a business guy, not a basketball guy. But at Spalding, I ran the business that had basketball, and it was a big part of the business over there. And when the Hall of Fame opened up in 2002, I was recruited to help open it up. So I was recruited as a marketing guy over here in 1999. And I thought I'd be here a couple of years and go back into sporting goods. I thought it'd be fun to open up the Hall of Fame, but I just crossed 25 years. And it hasn't always been easy. We had some financial issues when we opened up. We didn't have enough money to really run the business, so we had to figure all that out. So I took all that information that I got from my previous 25 years of experience and applied all of that and learned. I still learn today. I mean, I'm 64 years old, and I've been in this job for 25 years, and I'm still learning. I'm still relying on input from some of my board members and others. And I take all that, and again, you just keep adding to that beautiful engine you're building to have, to increase the performance on that. So listening, I think, and working hard. I mean, what to me, and we're very lucky here at the Hall of Fame to have young people and older folks that love what they do, love the subject matter they're dealing with, understand the whole concept of hospitality. This might be one of the 3 things that somebody does in their summer vacation is come to the Hall of Fame. This might be it. So we gotta treat them like that. You know what I mean? We gotta treat them like this is one of the biggest things they're gonna do in the summertime. Every customer, because you never know, right? So. It's all of those things together that kind of build success.
So as a leader, what are some characteristics that are important to you?
Well, what do I look for in terms of an employee or in myself?
Both.
Yeah. Well, as an employee, I think it's a lot of those things that we talked about. I look for, certainly you saw me walking in and talking to people and conversing and being friendly. I mean, that's a natural. I mean, really, that's a natural. I know some people kind of get introverted and it's difficult for them to talk, but let's use our jobs when we're 17, 18, 19 years old to come out of that, right? Because no one's going to hit you. No one's going to disagree. You should be the first person to speak to someone. When you get in an elevator, everybody goes like this, and they drop their heads and stuff, and like, oh my God, I can't wait for the door to open. I walk in the elevator and go, hey, good morning, how's everybody? And sometimes I get no response, and sometimes you get a conversation going. But in any ways, that's what I want to do. I want to be like, be hospitable even in an elevator, right? And I was with someone the other day, and I was giving a group tour. There happened to be a couple of pieces of paper on the floor. Busy day here at the hall, and I'm stooping down and picking them up, and they're like, I can't believe the CEO picks up paper. I said, well, who is going to do it if not me, right? That's the mentality that I would see for all the employees that are here. We have employees here that start when they're 16 years old, and some don't leave until they're 24 when they've finished graduate school at a local college. And they're really good at what they do. They love the subject matter. And we reward them appropriately. For myself, some of the characteristics, I think good listening is a good thing. I think for better or worse, I'm quick on my feet with decision making. Sometimes, most times right, sometimes wrong. But I think the experience that I've had allows me to analyze an issue pretty quickly and be able to respond to that. Really, my job as a CEO is being a coach. If you want to break it down into a sports analogy, you probably heard this in other interviews, but you got a team of people and you know everybody's skill set and you know what their responsibilities are. Not everybody here has the same responsibility, of course. We're broken down into different business units, but you know what their responsibility is. And my job is to make sure that they're performing at the highest level, giving them the resources they need to do that, coaching them when I think they're off track or they're not performing at a certain level, kind of get them moving along. And we're measured as a team. It's almost like a final score. How do we do financially for the year? Because we have goals regarding that. And then qualitatively, how are we doing with how we're communicating with the basketball community, with our customers, with the local Springfield business community, with the media. All those things are kind of those report card issues as well. So it's really it's a fun job. There's a lot to do though. It's some people think I take tickets and polish trophies, and it's really the business side of things. And I love it. I really enjoy it.
So I've noticed that you said that listen is an important characteristic to you. I've noticed in every interview, every time I ask that question, listen is always an important. So why is listening important to you?
Well, it's important to me and to you because that's how you learn, right? So if I'm the CEO and someone's coming to me and saying, hey, I think we got a problem in this business, in this business category, and I could just blow up and go, you figure it out, it's your job, that's why I hired you. It's like, no, let's talk about it. Educate me on that. Let's see if I have a solution. And if I don't have a solution, then we're going to find somebody that does. And in order to understand that issue, I've got to listen completely to what it is. In order for whatever resource we go help us solve that problem, they've got to listen, and they've got to listen to the input that we have. Here are 3 ideas that we think can fix this. Can you advise us on how that is? So they've got to listen. You've got to not listen, whether you're at a job at 17-year-old and listening to your manager, or whether you're 64 years old and not listening to your employees as a CEO. You're missing everything. You're missing it all. I mean, and practice listening, right? Sometimes people want to jump in. Like when someone's talking to you, you go, hey, don't do that. Just listen. Be in the moment and listen completely. Take it in. It's called active listening, right? Active listening. But active listening is like this. And I want to hear what you have to say. And then I'll respond, because what you may finish with may be key to what you want to communicate to me, right? There's a whole study of listening and responding and working together that you'll, I'm sure, 1, be exposed to, but 2, master in your CEO career.
Thank you. So another thing is you like to learn. I've noticed that you've always talked, anytime I ask questions, you're always saying that you're learning from people. So why is it important to be able to continue to learn?
Well, because everything changes. Because business changes, basketball changes. Last night or the night before, there's this huge media deal. I got to learn about that. It doesn't really impact us immediately and right away and directly, but I got to be able to converse about that. Business changes, no matter what business you're in. If you're a teacher, you know that educational plans and expectations change. If you're in the insurance business or you're the mayor, I mean, things are constantly changing around, so you got to be agile enough and learn about that subject matter. Go to people that are experts at that. Now I have vice presidents that report to me, and I expect them to be experts in their business, and I don't have all the answers, right? And together, we're going to get the answers that will help them respond to the issue if they've, and they're very often they bring the solutions, and they're educating me. I just, no CEO knows everything about the business. Otherwise, they wouldn't need employees, right?
So you said that you like to have your employees make sure that they feel welcome and talk to you with problems and come up with solutions.
Yep.
How are you able to build an environment to the point where they're comfortable enough to come up to you and might, if they might disagree with you on a situation?
Yeah, it's to me it comes natural in terms of, and you know what it is? I learned from that boss that used to yell at me all the time and be intimidating. I learned that's what I didn't want to be, right? You know, very often they say, well, imitate someone you want to be like. I made the decision that that's not my management style. It hasn't been my management style as long as I've been here. So it's more family-like. It's more listening-like. I find that once people put their guard down, they're more honest with you. You know, if you're increasing the tension, people don't always tell you everything that the problem might be. They don't always tell you, my old job at Spalding, that we may miss the numbers by this much when we're really saying it's this much, right? You know, you gotta give people the opportunity to speak and be heard, because it creates honest dialogue, and it's the best way to run a business. You know, there's not always going to be good news. It's not always going to be easy, but a manager that can take it all in and have the skill set to respond appropriately, have the, you know, just have, whether it's experience or whatever they've done, they need to be able to respond in that environment while listening to their employees and building a bank of information to be better.
So one of my goals with this podcast is to be able to interview Shaq. So can you tell me a little bit about some of your goals that you had when you were younger?
Some of my goals, you know, again, I don't know how many CEOs you talk to. I never thought I would be a CEO. I never thought I would be a vice president at a Hall of Fame or sporting goods. I mean, like I said before, I'm in the basketball business, and I really haven't played organized basketball, and I'm 5'9", which is, you mentioned Shaq. I think about the time I put the orange jacket on him, and he's about twice my height. It's very difficult. But I shamefully, or maybe not, I didn't say I want to be a vice president by this age, or I want to make this much money by this age. It kind of, I probably shouldn't say this, but it kind of happened. But the reason it happened is because of the core of me, and you know, how I used my head, how I used my thoughts, how I was able to communicate, putting all of those things together. I was kind of a natural leader in high school, not in sports, but like president of my high school class. And people gravitated towards me. I don't know exactly why, but they did. And I think it probably carried over. It must be some personality trait that I have that I really didn't develop consciously, right? But so I think that's part of it, is having that kind of, you know, some sort of innate sense of being a leader. And people trust me, it seems. They want to trust in their leaders, and you kind of don't let people down. Breaking a bond, lying, not being honest with people, not allowing people to come forth and say things, that breaks the bond.
So you said you're a natural leader. So
well, I'm not gonna say it's that, you know, I'm not like a superhero, but I'm saying it seemed to be that way.
Yeah. How is somebody able to build the leadership skills?
Experience, following through, understanding that it's a long haul. It's not a sprint, right? This isn't a 100-yard dash. Looking for people that you want to emulate, and talking to people about their leadership abilities and how they got there. Being confident and going outside your comfort zone and testing that, right? And I think you're probably going to find, most people are going to find, they go outside their comfort zone 10 or 15%, they can do it. And then that zone grows, right? Then they go out 10 or 15, and all of a sudden you're growing as a business person or as a professional or as a student, right? So getting a little bit outside that comfort zone, testing yourself. Don't wait for others to test you, test yourself. And see how it goes. You know, don't put yourself in a bad position where you're going to mess up at work by doing this, but you're going to have a sense of when you can do that. And again, when you're very young, I think being able to really be curious about the business and really giving it your all, and like I say, go outside 10 or 15%, outperform what your expectations are by your manager, because there's so many people that don't do that, you'll immediately stand out.
So you said go out of your comfort zone. So like, what are some ways that you're able to go out of your comfort zone at work?
Ask questions, learn more, be more conversational with customers or with other employees, not to take away from their job responsibilities, but just soak in information. Maybe even you see something that's like we talked about earlier, you see something that's not working and it's over and over and over again. Speak up. Say, look, I've noticed when people come in the door, they either trip over this or they just bypass this, and I know you want to feature that and sell this. That's why it's right near the door. It's just not working, and I have this idea. Your manager may say, well, thanks very much, but I didn't need your idea. Or, that's pretty interesting. I might sit there and see what you're seeing, and let's see what we can do to fix that, you know? There's no harm in making a suggestion about how to improve the environment and increase sales or educate kids better or whatever your business is to improve that. And we listen all the time to the people, you know, that are in the museum, because they're sitting talking to the people, they're watching them having this experience, and they're saying, this is working, we should do more, or this isn't working, we need to fix that. It's so valuable, right? The people that are closest to the customer, right? If you're working at a clothing store and you're on the floor interfacing with customers, and your manager's out back in an office doing paperwork and opening boxes and doing all that stuff, who's closer to the customer, right? Yeah. This 17-year-old, this 18-year-old, all of a sudden that becomes a real opportunity to say, this is my domain. And I can understand this business, and maybe I can have some input in this business. And yeah, I'm going to do my job, but let me do this for a couple of years and learn and you know, take this with me to the next position.
So when you're working and say maybe you might come in, like you might be having like a bad day mentally, like what are some ways that you're able to stay focused while coming into the job to make sure that you're improving?
Yeah, I can't, you know, unless something terrible happens. But I can't have a bad day. You know, I can't be cut off in traffic and then let the whole day let me snap like a bulldog. You know, that just doesn't work. I mean, that would be so counter to how my regular day-to-day is. So I would either work out harder at the gym or I'd take a walk, but I don't bring it into the office and I don't bring it home, right? If there's something gnawing at me at work, then address it. Address it, you know. Let it sit there, let it eat at you, right? Just, okay, I'm going to work on this project today. It's tough. It might not be easy. It might be something that I'll be very disappointed in myself or others that for some results, but I got to work on it and get after it, right? You can't, I mean, maybe when you're 17 or 18 working for somebody else at a store or someplace, you can have a bad day and do that, but I certainly can't do that. And I think people that aspire to be in management, aspire to lead others, that's something you got to learn to deal with. I can't take that into the work environment. You sure shouldn't take it home, right? Work it out somehow, right? Burn some energy and burn some brain power addressing that problem.
So you said you're talking about family and like not to bring problems home. So like, how are you able to balance work life and family as well?
Yeah, I don't have that feel of stress every night when I go home. Things are operating pretty well here. There were days back in 2000, 2003, 2004 when there was time, but you know, you go home and at that point my kids were young and you just lose everything and it's all about them, right? And now we're empty nesters. You know, I leave my work here at this point. I leave my work here. I don't, you know, I'm always answering emails and texts and phone calls and stuff. I'm home or on the weekend, but the big stuff I tend to leave here because I have it in order. after so many years, getting a rhythm, right? I have it in order. I've got big problems that I've worked on, and I have the resources to do that. Small problems that are bubbling up, I'm working with others to deal with those. So, when you get to be 64 and a half, you kind of understand how to, it's like whack-a-mole, right? Except the moles aren't popping up as fast. The moles pop up and you kind of address them and push them back down rather than go after them with a mallet, right? When you're 18, 19, 20 years old, sometimes it looks like the whack-a-moles are taking over, right? So again, it's not the complete answer, but just kind of step back, understand the long haul. What can I do to improve myself and my own skills within the framework that I'm working in right now? And understand that, how old was I when I got the CEO? I was 41. So you got a ways to go.
So the final question I want to ask you is, what's one fun fact about yourself that nobody really knows?
Well, I was joking. I have about a 1-inch vertical leap. I don't know if that's really true, but it's not much more than that. Boy, a fun fact, a fun fact. So talk about CEOs. When I was 11 years old, I started my own lawn mowing business, right? So I was a CEO, but I was also the worker. And I did that for about 2 years, and I saved up enough money, $500, and I bought a snowblower, thinking lawns in the summer, snow in the winter. And then I'm thinking, I brought it home, and I'm very proud of it. And then I'm like, why did I do this? Why did I spend $500? This is going to take years to break even on, right? So I'm like 12 years old, I'm thinking about break even. I spent $500. How long is it going to take to make $500 back? Why did I do this, right? And that year, it snowed like cats and dogs. I made all the money back plus. And I had that snowblower in my neighborhood as I went through college for 11, 12 more years making money. I didn't charge people enough, but I was making money. And that, you kind of ask me all these questions. And I had a business, not a big one, but enough to get walking around money. I had a business when I was 11, 12 years old. I had responsibility. I had customers, my neighbors, that counted on me, especially in a snowstorm, right? I had to get up 5:30 a.m., get their driveway cleared so they could go to work at 7. And that taught me responsibility. It taught me how do I collect money? How do you say please and thank you? How do I say that we had 2 storms back to back, so it's 2 times $5, not that wasn't one storm, all that kind of stuff. So and it taught me that maybe my future was business, and being my own boss. But here I'm a lot of bosses. But it taught me, maybe you know what it taught me? I wanted to be a CEO, right?
Yeah. So I want to thank you.
Yeah,
thank you
my
again
pleasure.
for being able to spend your time to allow me to interview you today.
Yeah,
thank you.
Anytime, come back.
Thank you.
When you become a CEO, we can visit again.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
All right.
Yeah.
It's nice to see you, Mikey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, thank you for watching this episode of the Realistic CEO podcast. See you guys in the next one.